Well, some of you are going to attend a Georgian feast with me at some point that I need to make good on my auction promises. But in the Republic of Georgia, one of the traditions there is toasting, feasting to the good things in life. And one of those good things for us is St. Alphonsus. How we've gotten here may be a very different path for everybody. Some of us have lived in Ballard our entire lives. Others, like myself, were transplants, but we've been attracted to this place for some reason or another. I see it all in you when you drop your kiddos off. I see it in your kiddos. I see it in our teachers. I see it in our staff. But most of all, we're here ultimately for Christ. And this is an opportunity to celebrate how we move closer towards Him, how we grow in that. We say every day we're growing in knowledge, love of God, and service to others. So thank you for joining us in our mission. And this is a toast to St. Alphonsus. So we'll raise our glasses. And in the Republic of Georgia, we say Gagi Marjos, which means to you the victory. So on three, Gagi Marjos, 1, 2, 3, Gagi Marjos. Again. Starting prayer 2. I was speaking with Claire Shea yesterday, and she just reminded me of the importance of the Holy Spirit at this moment in time, just for our local church, for our school, and for me. So we're going to pray this Holy Spirit prayer together, and I love this image, just the Holy Spirit coming down like fire and washing over us. We need to be enraptured by this love, by this zeal for our mission. So you'll join me in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. And we can all pray this together. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, enkindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit did instruct the hearts of the faithful, grant that by the same Holy Spirit we may be truly wise and ever enjoy his consolations. Through the same Christ. So as I mentioned just a second ago, we start every day in the cafeteria. I know it's a little bit of a change. We're typically outside on the blacktop, but it's warmer in here for the most part. And I think the kids can hear me a little bit better. But we start each day, good morning, St. Alphonsus. Good morning, Mr. Paternos. And I think half the time they forget my name. Today we'll grow. Grow in what? Knowledge, love of God, and service to others. And it's a great way for us just to frame why we are here. And we were fortunate enough to have a video crew come and give us a little insight into the day. How does this actually look like? So I want to start with just a brief 1-minute video. And Tara, since you're close, would you mind just hitting play?
Marcus, why is this one?
We've got some more videos to come. And we just wrapped up interviews yesterday. Several of our parents chimed in. So there'll be a video on community. There'll be video on our academics and faith. That was just a cool moment for one of the other teachers who is you'll see in the future videos was Melissa Rodriguez Murphy, who's our 2022-23 Seton Award winner. If you were at the Mass this last weekend or 2 weekends ago, we presented her with this award. It's just our outstanding faculty each year who demonstrate just tremendous leadership in teaching and learning, spirituality and community. She's our librarian, she's our STEM specialist, she's on our leadership team, she's an alumni parent, and she really helps drive our mission forward. So if you see her, please give her a shout out and just a thank you for her presence and leadership here. An overview for how tonight is going to work. We're going to cover kind of 4 general domains. The first is operational vitality. Pete Noble and Chris Hanzelli from our school commission are going to speak on that. They'll be talking about that school survey that you all took. Thank you for your input. Enrollment, finances, family participation. Sarah Delgado will talk about academic excellence, so MAP scores, extracurriculars going on, curriculum updates. Claire Shea, who's here, will talk about our Catholic identity, faith formation opportunities for you all. And then I'll kind of close this out with governance and leadership, talking about some safety things and our strategic vision ahead. I don't want to be the talking head. I do want to sip on some wine. So I'm going to call up Pete first. Hey, Pete. Woo!
Pete.
Thank you for coming. My name is Pete Noble, and many of you may know me as husband to Beth, father of Lucy, Emma, and Addie in 8th, 6th, and 4th grade. So I'm excited to have this opportunity tonight because we're very grateful to be at St. Al's. And I'm so confident, and I now know that what an improvement it was over where we were. And I'm so convinced and bullish of where we're going. So I have the opportunity to share with you the family survey results and share with you kind of a call to action that we all collectively face and a fantastic opportunity and challenge. With that said, you know, I do want to put a little context to the way that I think of St. Al's. In fact, I told Nick and Chris in the school commission recently that the way that I view St. Al's is such a righteous mission. It's the most important thing that happens in our lives today for the future that our children face. Right, in the future of automation, AI, technology, the jobs that we knew and grew up into aren't going to exist. And so to the degree that we develop learners, adapters, resilience, who are interested in service in others, getting closer to God and being learners, that's what this calls for. And to be even more specific, the way that I think of it is today, this is a transformative launch pad for 1,330 years. The way I come up with 1,330 years is there are 190 students, average age 10, life expectancy 80. So 70 times 190 is 1,330 years. And I'm grateful to the way that St. Al's serves the purpose of less of what they are going to do, but more how they're going to do it, how they're going to lead those years. And certainly there's no better man than Frederick Douglass himself, who says, if we get it right early, that makes the rest of it easier. So with that said, I want to turn and begin to share the survey results. And thank you for those of you that participated. We had 99 responses, and we're leading with by far the most important question. And I think this might have been a survey question that many of you are familiar with. The methodology is time tested, known, and you've answered the question before, which is, would you recommend this to a friend or colleague? And the way this methodology works is your people that answer 9 and 10 on whether you recommend are considered promoters. 7 and 8 are passives. 0 through 6s are detractors. And so what you do is you take your promoters minus your detractors, and you come up with a percentage. And as you can see from this overall satisfaction, you know, would you recommend it? We have our our score was 68%. It's a very high net promoter score. And that's not to suggest that, oh, everything's great, we're done, we're on our way. But it does suggest that many of us, and this is important to the call of action that I'll appeal to later, would recommend St. Alex. And we're building from and growing on a position of strength. 68%, two other things I want to say about this is, so we are introducing this methodology. We'll ask it time and again. And as a group, we'll share the results to see how are we doing? Are we going up? Are we going down? You know, and why? What are the causals? The last thing I'll say about this, in our 68%, while not a like comparable for a company that's as well respected as Apple, Apple's net promoter score most recently was 61%. So not bad. Next slide will be speaking to then some of the more important areas of the survey as it relates to academic, faith, and behavior. And as you can see from the results, we are, again, a lot of overall positive responses, and yet there are only 5 categories within these 10 that are at 50% of the 99. So what it suggests is, again, we're working from a position of strength and growing on some areas where we're doing some things that people feel strongly and positively about. And yet there's still plenty of room for growth and opportunity within as it relates to academics, behavior, basically every aspect of the school.
Hey, Peter, what's that last category?
What is the last thing
Can you get rid of that screen?
Yeah.
I put this.
I mean, it looks good.
See if I can see it on my cheat sheet.
Oh.
Engaging events and
We can-
fundraising efforts. So the purple represents, it was on a 1 to 5 scale. 5 is, we think we're doing an excellent job, high satisfaction. The blue, low, unsatisfactory. So you see that we're mostly in the purple or green, which again is the highest level of satisfaction for these categories.
And on the previous slide, by the way, going back to the net promoter score, there were 2 zeros. So if you answered a 0 intentionally, I would ask, and if you're here, to please get to Nick, Ms. Delgado, somebody to share it, or if the intent was, I'm not answering this question, I don't understand it, that's something else. But if you are truly a 0, please share your reason. We'd be all ears. All right, now on to enrollment trends. As you can see from enrollment trends, we now begin to turn towards really our biggest collective opportunity and challenge. And take a look at the past 7 years. What it reflects is an earlier era of kind of instability and turnover with leadership and staff. And of course, we go into the COVID era, and now we're turning towards promise of some progress. The highlights include the fact that there's the largest kindergarten class of 17 students since 2017, which suggests steady future of growth as those 17-year-olds or the kindergartners go on through 8th grade and hopefully bring siblings. There have been 52 tours and shadow days recently. In fact, for anybody that was at the open house 2 weeks ago, it almost looked like this. It was really cool and impressive to see a lot of families coming through. And we set a target of, and this is, I would suggest, relatively arbitrary. There's no reason why we can't go higher, of 230 students. So we now have 190 students, and we have true capacity for 264. Why is this so critical that we get to 230? And number one by far and away is the fact that it really takes a lot of pressure off of everything else and gets our teachers closer to pay parity with Seattle Public School District. None of us want our teachers getting anything less than what Seattle Public School District is. So every additional student and family, and as we get to 230, reduces the pressure on fundraising and getting teachers to pay parity. Of course, what it also does then is amplifies the vibrant, diverse community that we already have, bringing in more families, more kids. It allows for additional operational excellence because you get more hands on staff and hiring teachers that are contributing to the cause. And we have capacity for 264, so it does nothing to, tax us in terms of we have capacity. So let's go to the next slide. Here are a few ways that I like to think about and talk about St. Al's, and you're going to hear about more of some of this later tonight in terms as it relates particularly to, well, every aspect of this, but academics. And there is a deliberate design that builds knowledge that makes St. Al's education very unique. And in fact, there was a question on the survey. I apologize, I don't remember the exact question, but our familiarity with the program that's in place, and there was low familiarity. So I think one of the goals of tonight is to increase an understanding of exactly what's going on at St. Al's, because I have high confidence, as sharing with parents tonight, that a year from now and 2 years from now, the St. Al's difference will be much more objectively provable and obvious to anybody considering schools today. This is the way that I think about it. Number one, there's academics, a deliberate design that builds knowledge across years and continuity of design between any 1 or 2 grades, much less all the grades. Really unique. And it's a challenging endeavor, but it has started and it's underway. A community both externally of us, externally meaning families around the school, but also then kids within the school. When you see these pictures, I pulled up to a mass recently and I took the one in the upper left. I practically brought a tear in my eye because I'm like, right, you've got older kids leading younger kids into the church and into mass. And so you've got this cross-pollination that happens between families and buddies that our girls rave about, that wouldn't be happening at the school that we were at previously. Next slide, please. Character. I want to speak to this very deliberately, so if you'll pardon me. An education that includes the virtues and teachings of Catholicism, reinforcing those that are Catholic and exposing for those that are non-Catholic. And the virtues of the good habits that are practiced over time, taking discipline to master. A Catholic worldview is that the world is good. We have gifts that we're responsible to share with our community and our world. And that this worldview should permeate every school subject, event, and activity. And then I think this is another aspect that makes the community aspect even more objective as it relates to St. Al's, and certainly in our experience is the diversity of community within St. Al's. If you look at this chart here, which is perhaps the best way that I could, well, first of all, there's 190 students, 51% Catholic, 20 zip codes. I can't imagine a school within all of our geos that has that diversity. And for us, it really is a blessing that we escaped Magnolia, and now I'm driving a plate. It's all over the joint, and it's just a blast. But when you look at these pie charts, the pie chart on the left, if I'm getting this right, is by ethnic diversity. St. Al's is far more diverse than Ballard. So Ballard is on the left, and St. Al's is on the left, Ballard is on the right. Right, so St. Al's is far more diverse than Ballard. So that to me is an aspect that makes our community very objective selling point. All right, last slide, I believe. Those are basically 4 ways that I like to think and talk about St. Al's as if I had a family that's considering relative to what's important to them. So there's a fair amount of effort and progress, as you can see already, and you'll see more of. There's some cool media, right? We're trying to appeal to the TikTok generation or whatever. We're going to put this media out there. But certainly Karen Brown is doing yeoman's work as it relates to taking a ton of content on a regular basis and putting it in the social media channels, putting it on parents' blogs. So we're trying to capture attention and interest. Nick and team are beginning to use and publicize some of this, the new media production. So the call to action that I have is really, number one, the simplest one is if you could pull out your phone right now and you could get it started, you could go to Google Maps and you could click on the St. Al's pin. And then within that pin, you could rate St. Al's. The reason I ask that is not because nobody's gonna make a decision on school on Google Map or a Google rating, would you? But it's an objective data point that speaks to the vibrancy of our community, and it is a way that people discover us. When you look at St. Al's 10 months ago, you know what we rated on Google review? 4.1. We didn't, I mean, like Starbucks, Mod Pizza were better than St. Al's. And that 4.1, by the way, was only the result of one parent who had a valid concern from, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. It was somebody that we could not reach out to. When you read the review, you're like, man, that sounds like a not good experience. So I think we tried reaching her and we can't locate her to say, is there any way that you can give us a shot to take this review? But it's just a data point, right? And if you saw a 4.1, you say, oh, that might not be worth our consideration. So please take 5 minutes and put it on Google, because again, it's just a data point that people can discover objectively by themselves on their own. But again, it also then speaks to the vibrancy, because when you look at now the reviews that are happening, I think we're at 36 when I last looked. I mean, there are now perhaps 20 that have happened in the last year. Speaks to a pretty cool community. Connect any interested family to Karen as quickly as possible. And feel free. But do we have any families that are that aren't attending St. Al's today here? Okay.
Right here.
Hi, welcome. Invite prospective families to any event at St. Al's. It could be bingo night, it could be state of the school, it could be an open house, it could be a tour day. Please get them involved and engaged as quickly as possible. And then finally, share any idea with, feel free to share, use my email and share any idea that you have of how we might do this differently and better, because this is really about selling and marketing a little gem. And like I said, I have no doubt every confidence in the plans that Nick, Sarah, and team have in play and that are working on it, they're implementing, so that in a year and in 2 years, St. Al's will be obvious to many, but today we're not. So the degree that we can get to 230 quickly solves a lot of challenges for us. So with that said, please don't hesitate to hit me up with an idea. I'll bring it to the school commission and we'll put it anything that makes sense into action as quickly as possible. Thanks for having me. Go Agents.
Yeah.
This really is ideas guy. I've never met anyone with more ideas at any given time. Whenever I see him, he's got about 1,000 for me. So please ping Pete and get to work. I'm also going to invite Mr. Hanzelli, Chris Hanzelli up here. I think we're going to start with the video. Perfect. Yep.
Public schools are different. Our students learn in safe, diverse, and rigorous learning environments, and are challenged to be courageous leaders guided by faith. Our schools have a history of long-term student success, but you probably know all of them. So how does a Catholic school make this education possible? Well, that is where tuition comes in. The fundraising we do and generous parish support we receive most often covers operational and program expenses. Let's break this down. The full cost to educate one child is the total number of expenses divided by the number of students. For example, if the total school budget is $1 million, we have 100 students. then the cost to educate one student is $10,000. Typically, 75% or more of a healthy school budget goes towards paying our teachers and staff. And they are worth it. Ideally, this amount is paid to tuition and fees. Strong fundraising and generous parish support makes up at least 25% of a healthy school budget, covering operations and instructional programs. Guess what? Increased student enrollment means more money to pay teachers. More fundraising dollars mean more programming possibilities. What this means for the entire community is that everyone needs to pay their tuition and meet fundraising obligations. That's really the only way this is going to work.
It's the only way it's gonna work. Thank you, Nick. As Nick said, my name is Chris Anzellen. And I'm the guy that drew the short straw to be pie chart guy tonight. I'm the father of 4 kids, Daniel, Matthew, Aaron, and Peter. Daniel recently graduated from St. Al's and is at Blanchette. And Matthew's in 7th, Aaron's in 5th, and Peter's in 2nd grade. But our commitment and love for St. Al's goes back even further than that, because my wife graduated from, well, she was a student here in 19, and we had a wonderful experience. So we're proud to carry that legacy forward. My privilege tonight is to share with you the impact you make on a financial level, as well as a gift of time and talent. What you see before you is the income for the school over the last year. And if you remember from the video, tuition and fees should make up about 75% of our income in a standard Catholic school. Now, this pie chart is a little skewed because you see that nice green wedge there. That's our PPP loans, which are still playing out in this fiscal year, but they'll start to be gone next year. So if you take that out, tuition and fees comes to about 72% of our total income, 72%. So we know that during COVID, we held back off tuition increases. We were helping as many families as we possibly could. It was a time of perseverance and grit, and this community really rallied. So I want to take this moment to say thank you to every single family here and families that graduated and are no longer here for their commitment to the school and their investment to allow us to persevere with stability and strength through COVID. But with PPP loans gone next year, and we'll see on the next slide, which is our pie chart of expenses, we actually will end this year with a nice surplus. St. Al's is in a stable fiscal position. We have good savings. We have nice net income this year, of course, but if you take the PPP loans out, we actually had a small operating loss of about $79,000 this last year. But hearkening back to Pete Noble's comments earlier, $79,000 equals about 9 new students, given average tuition. So enrollment is just a big part of our future. We have strength in our community and we want to grow that community. So if you know anyone interested, looking for an alternate to the current educational situation or looking to start education for their kids, give them a shout out, let them know about St. Al's, send them our way. They can talk to Pete, they can talk to me, they can talk to Nick. But we have a great opportunity to serve our community more broadly. I also want to talk about tuition and fees over the next 3 years. This is a plan we started last year, so some of you probably remember these numbers. But there are moderate increases in tuition planned over the next 3 years to help keep pace, or at least try to kind of keep pace with inflation. You can see there, inflation in 2021 was 7%. This last year, 6.5%, and we hope some number smaller than that this coming year. But tuition increases are a normal and healthy part of our financial planning, and the way in which we close that gap, help close that gap of the cost to educate. If you remember from the video, all expenses divided by the number of students, that's the real cost to educate. But our tuition with discounts and scholarships and reductions for families needing extra support, our cost to educate is about $12,943, but the actual tuition an average family pays, of course, is quite a bit less than that. And you can see in this chart, our tuition set for next year is starting to approach the actual cost to educate, but not quite there yet. And a big piece of getting to closing that gap to the cost to educate, of course, is philanthropy. Philanthropy, literally, the love of mankind. My day job is a fundraiser. I love raising money. If you have money you would like to give to school, I will help take it from you and give it to the school. My joy. If you want a real nerdy book to read, you can read The Joy of Giving, and it literally documents scientific evidence showing that if you give of yourself, time, talent, and money, you are actually healthier, physically healthier, and a happier person. So if you're looking to shed a few pounds in the coming year or increase your boobs, give to St. Alphonsus. It will make a difference. But your participation really does make St. Al's work. Hopefully, St. Alphonsus is one of your top 3 charities, one of your top 3 nonprofits. Our children are here. We love them dearly. There are many good causes in the world to support. We hope that St. Al's is one of those causes. If you haven't given of your time to St. Al's, I know we're all super busy. If you could, try to find some time to volunteer. Sometimes we struggle to make it easy to know about those volunteer opportunities, but we're doing our best to improve on that. Also, if you have some extra dollars lying around, we could use them. Please write a check to St. Al's, go online. And also, if you have some advice or wisdom, please share it with St. Al's. We can't always act on every idea, but we love to hear about every idea because we need your help to enrich this school and make it better. But your participation makes it work. It's 100% effort, 100% participation. Here is, according to our most recent data, how participation plays out in St. Al's right now. 57% of families have logged service hours. You're like our family, you haven't logged all your service hours, you're behind. So please log service hours. It really doesn't matter how much time you can give, but it's that you gave something that matters. So log your service hours as a testament to your commitment to St. Al's. But 57% of families have logged service hours, hoping to get to 100% by the end of the year. 48% of families have used Script. My friends know that I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Script, but it really does help. It really does help. And 39% of families have contributed to the annual fund this year. The annual fund is that large philanthropic effort that we take on throughout the year to help St. Al's fund the greatest needs of the schools. That's paying for everything from supplies in the classroom to salaries for our fantastic teachers to fixing the water fountain when it breaks to helping pay for a kid's lunch who forgot his lunch or doesn't have the money to afford it. So please contribute to the annual fund. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to you about how philanthropy will make your life better. Annual fund right now is at 105,000 of our 125,000 goal. So again, I want to take a brief moment to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to all the families that have contributed. Normally, our annual fund goal typically was around 40, 50, 60,000. Sometimes it was 80. Setting a goal of 125,000 was an audacious goal. And you are rising to the challenge, and we really appreciate everyone's contributed. Please, if you haven't made a gift to the annual fund, please consider philanthropy. It'll make your life better and St. Al's better. Of course, matching gifts are a wonderful way to stretch your philanthropic dollar further. And I would propose to you that it's much easier than you might imagine. If your company doesn't have a matching program, it actually might, and just no one knows about it. So go to your HR rep to say, hey, do we match? And if they say yes, fill out a little piece of paper that they probably have in the office. And if they say no, they don't support schools, that's fine. But maybe some of them say yes. So please submit matching requests whenever you can. And please remember that the annual fund is that most critical piece of our income to help close the gap between tuition and the actual costs to educate our fantastic kids. I'm done. All right, thank you very much.
Just on the topic of volunteerism, we could really use some help with lunch and recess monitors. We're currently at, I did the calculations for the month of January. 50% of the time, we had 2 volunteers. We always have 2 volunteers. I mean, 50% of the time we had 2 parent volunteers, which means a teacher doesn't have to give up their lunch. I don't have to have 45 minutes of free recess every day either. I love being out there, but would love to see more of you out there. It's just a strain on us, especially when we've got a vice principal who's in 1st grade, and my main office captain of the ship, Charlene Sweet, who's been pray for her. She's recovering from foot surgery, so she's been gone for the last 3 weeks and will be gone for 2 more. So we're struggling.
I'd like to say just a really quick something.
Jen.
Yeah, I'm Jenna. My son Griffin's in 5th grade. I do recess every Monday and Wednesday. I love all your kids. They are adorable most of the time. It is they're adorable. Most of the time it's tying their shoes, zipping up their coats, settling arguments over, you gotta share the ball. I know it's tough, but it's hard out there because sometimes you do have to be the mean one and go, hey, you guys knock it off. So every once in a while, we just need some help out there. I love it when we get the guy dads out there because then we don't have to be the meanies out there. So thank you to Sean. I know several times he's out there with me, and Peter, you've been out there. So it's tough. And now it's not going to be raining so much anymore. So literally it's like 11:45 to 12:20. Every day. Wednesday's a little chaotic, but tell me, I mean, it's a great way to know those kids, and then they love you forever, and then they show you their loose teeth, and you're like, oh, that's so great. So yes, come and help us out. We need it. We love them. Thank you.
If you don't know me, my name's Sarah. I'm a 2nd grader in Stella. I'm on the school commission and have the joy of running Raise Right, which I know is a pain in everyone's side, but we have to do it. So we're always looking for sellers for Raise Right. Also, as a room parent, like anyone that's struggling to find a volunteer activity, please email your room parent. Like they are your go-to person for contact. You don't need to reach out to Charlene. You don't need to reach out to Nick or Sarah. Like room parents club, go to those resources to find volunteer opportunities. Because I know I work 40 hours a week. I do my best to get back to the school, but like the workday is not always an option for everyone. So there's stuff outside of the 9 to 5 that the kids are here. If you need those volunteer opportunities, again, room parents, you can contact me for any script selling opportunities. We're selling on the weekends. We're always looking for someone to sell at mass or at school events. You're not seeing Raise Right at these events because we don't have the volunteers to do it, and I can't staff everything. So please, room parents, me, again, a great person to talk to about recess. Like there's so many opportunities outside of 9 to 5 or during 9 to 5. So really look for the face that you always see at those events that you're interested in getting engaged with, and just connect with them. Like I'll go to coffee with anyone, really. So like say, what does it take? How many hours are committed? Can we meet for coffee? Like anyone that's volunteering here wants to have a cup of coffee with another parent in school. So really, please.
I've talked to, so I'm president of the Parents Club. And so we are also the keeper of a lot of volunteer opportunities. And so if you see me, you can always reach out to me. We also need a lot of volunteers for all of our events. And you're going to see these are some of our events that are coming up next on next slide. But you can always reach out to me. We have tons and tons of opportunities for volunteers, and we need you. And there is a coffee chat if you are interested in joining Parents Club or learning about what Parents Club does. February 24th, 8:30 at drop off, right after drop off. Come into the cafeteria. We're gonna have coffee, donuts, and learn about Parents Club. So.
Our Parents Club.
You see that? 3 parents just stood up and talked, and they were much more inspiring than I will be tonight. So parents, you have to talk to each other, help each other out. This is the only way that it's going to work. On the note of events and fundraisers and Parents Club, couple things to be aware of. Save the date for the Jogathon. That's going to be May 11th. May 12th. May 12th. Scratch that. Of this year. It's great. It's typically been an end of the year thing. However, if you're like me, we're exhausted by May 12th. And your fundraising dollars have already been exhausted probably too by May 12th. But we're going to just, change is good, change is also hard, but change is mostly good. We're going to kind of shift some of our events for the next school year and beyond. Our next Jogathon for the next school year is going to be September 29th. That's going to be in the fall. Hopefully that means it's not going to be as rainy or wet. Very well could be, but September 29th is also the Feast of the Archangels. We are the Archangels. So this is a day for us to celebrate St. Al's in a deep, profound, angelic way, and really be a community event for not just our school, but for the parish and for the community. And that will kind of launch our school year with a positive fundraising event. That's going to be in the fall. Auction, also, I see how tired everyone is right after Thanksgiving. And then there's Christmas a few weeks away, and you're trying to figure out Christmas presents for your kids. And then you also have to procure however many dollars of stuff for the auction, and you're running around like mad. It just, to me, it doesn't seem like it's working. It's worked, but maybe it's not the best solution. So we're going to shift it to the doldrums of March, where there's nothing going on and you're just dying for something fun, especially during Lent. So we picked a special weekend during Lent where we have license to be joyful. This is on Laetare weekend, which is supposed to be a weekend of rejoicing in the 40 days of Lent. So I think and I hope this will give us more time for procurement, more time to gain sponsorships. We have the support of the Parents Club in this, and more time to plan. Again, I can't ask you enough. If you are feeling called to sign up for a committee of some sort, whether it's Jogathon or auction or other school events, please do. This is an excellent way to get your hours, and I think we'll build engagement. With that, we're going to do a transition over to academics, and Sarah is going to come on up. Yay!
Proud parent of a second grader and a preschooler. And my second grader has been here since preschool and has enjoyed the transition from preschool to kinder. So if you have preschoolers, please consider strongly the transition to kindergarten. It's a wonderful transition. I was previously the first grade teacher here, and then I started as vice principal, back to first grade teacher / vice principal this year. And it's been wonderful. It's been a great transition because of parents like you and the students, so wonderful. We will be talking about academic excellence. 2 to 3 times a year, kindergarten through 8th graders will take their MAP testing. And this is a reflection of our 1st through 4th grade for the fall of 21 and fall of 22. We typically outscore the archdiocese as well as the national average. Graph. Now, this is just the start of what we have going for the language usage and reading with our new programming and our Go Math program. And we have a walk to math option for students that are advanced. We have a phenomenal program with the K through 4 with the teacher development and how we have the teacher development that we have for Go Math and the way that we can differentiate the instruction, and our scores are just affirming the good work that we do with the math. Reading and language usage, just wait and see. With our new Literacy Essentials program, as well as our core knowledge, we are going to be seeing an uprise in what we already have here. So the Literacy Essentials, I think we'll talk a little bit more about in just a moment. If we can go to middle school. This is 5th through 8th, again, fall 2021 fall 2022. And what you're looking at, these numbers on the side, these are the RIT scores, same for K through 4. The RIT score is more of like looking at a growth chart, just where the students are at within their grade level. And so it's just a comparison. It tracks them from when they start testing here to where they exit, and these scores will go to their high school. But the RIT score is just to see where they score within the maps. So going back to the reading and language scores that you did see, we did develop, we did take on a new curriculum called Literacy Essentials. And what parents are saying is, my kids love the program and quote and test each other on the phonograms often. I think that it has helped a ton in the way they understand language. I love it. The only negative is that there has been less focus on writing and handwriting as the kids catch up in grades higher than kinder. So to speak on this, as you saw with our scores, we already outscore the Archdiocese. We already outscore the national average. So we take this, and there is less focus on the writing and handwriting currently. What we do at the beginning, since we just developed this and since we just started this curriculum, is we did a 6-week reset for all students in kindergarten through 6th grade, actually. So we are teaching them the phonograms again, the sounds again. So starting from just basics to see what they understand already. Next year, we will not be utilizing a whole 6-week reset. It will be a 2-week reset. So the amount of time that they will have for writing and handwriting in grades higher than kindergarten, it will start a lot sooner. But we did want to lay the foundation so as they go on to their different grade levels, they just have more of a solid foundation through the continuum from K through 8th grade. My child's reading ability has exponentially increased. I can't get them out of a book, which is great. Literacy Essentials, a lot of it incorporates dialogue. You're having lots of read alouds, you're listening through stories, you're creating sentences orally. Your teachers are dictating sentences for you to copy. So just the love for language is really developed in K through 2, and the love for writing continues to expand through middle school. In my student who struggles with spelling, I noticed an increase in ability. I did not notice a difference in my other children. So spelling is really probably the first thing that we will see, and the growth that we will see continued is to be determined, of course, but spelling, it really focuses in on phonograms, matching letters to sounds and not just 26 letters to 26 sounds. In our State of the School last year, we had the 72 phonograms that were introduced. And if you're interested in having a copy of that, I will have them ready in the front office tomorrow morning. But I think it's really good to know that for spellers, even in 6th grade, there's a lot of aha moments that are going on. Now, beyond spelling, which is the latter part of the comment here, not noticing a difference in other children. I think as students begin to write more after this program develops more of a foundation for their spelling, I think that they're going to go ahead and appreciate this program a lot more, and you might notice a difference within their writing and their speaking as we continue. Even though challenging, I think it has pushed our son and has helped him improve. Challenging, it is challenging for our teachers and our students to really hone in on the type of instruction that this curriculum entails. It really has students analyze all words and the structure of the words, and it pushes the teachers to teach in a different way. I taught 1st grade and I taught sight words for so many years. this goes away from just teaching sight words, just memorize it. And that's why we spell it this way. So it really goes into explaining, and many schools do still teach sight words. This is what makes St. Al's different. So teaching the challenge of the words, knowing that the letter U has 4 different sounds is mind blowing to a kindergartner and sixth grader alike. And probably as well. So it is challenging. It's a challenge for the teachers to develop these concepts with the students and have them own it and have them master it. But it's also very rewarding. And you will see this in, again, their writing. Core knowledge. This is our new social studies curriculum, and this is what parents are saying about core knowledge. Love it. The kids are learning so much and sharing their knowledge of ancient civilizations all the time. Core knowledge does offer so much information in such a fun way. Students are learning and wanting to share. I know I actually borrowed the kindergarten readers from Miss Blankenship because I just wanted to know more and introduce my boys to more. And it's been exciting. Right now we're learning about Native American. To be honest, I'm not sure. And that's okay if you're not sure. You will learn more through your students. And as Peter is walking up the hallway, just appreciating the artwork, there will be descriptions underneath, and students will be able to talk about these pictures and talk about their learning. So to be wait and see. This seems to have increased the engagement of our children. They are sometimes difficult when it comes to describing their day, but when they do, it is generally a historical or interactive event that they share first. So they are sharing these experiences together, as you can see in the picture below. They are developing this knowledge, but they're also creating these experiences together that is going to carry this knowledge with them for many years to come. The amount of knowledge that they'll be able to give you, and as they become more knowledgeable, they will become better thinkers and be able to stand for what they believe and what they know based on the historical events that can support their thoughts. The curriculum is great, and the teaching approach, note-taking, is a great preparation for high school. Within the curriculum, there is a lot of information. It is very story-based for the younger students, but there is a lot less pictures as it gets to middle school. Cornell Notes is a great example of how the students are starting to do note-taking in middle school. They do it with Miss Bender and with Mr. Tiffany.
Rome Dave is quite fun, by the way.
Extracurricular after-school activities was something that parents wanted more of. This is a list of things that we currently have, if you just want to take a look. And if you have other ideas or you would like to sponsor or help lead an after-school event, please see me or Nick. We'd be happy to help you with that. This is another way to get that after-school parent volunteer hours in. Here is a sneak peek on our spring musical, Godspell. Save the date. I saw everyone had their phones out earlier, so if you would like to save the date, May 19th, 20th, and 21st. Terry.
Yeah, oh, sorry. This is also one of my favorite musicals, so I cannot wait.
They're getting very excited. I was up there yesterday. They're doing their blocking, their numbers, and thank you to all the parents too who have volunteered, stepped up. Even if you are not a parent and you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to help with the stage design, costumes, eventually makeup, there's a spot for you. Just reach out and we'll hook you up. And then with that, I'm gonna invite Claire to come on up about some faith formation opportunities.
I'm Claire Shea, and I am a school parent here. My girls are in 1st and 2nd grade, and next year we have an incoming kindergartner, which is wild. And I've started just this last year as your pastoral assistant for faith formation. It's been great. I love it so far. So something I care really deeply about, and why I started here, is because I believe that a Catholic school and a parish shouldn't just be a good private school and a place to check off my Sunday obligation. That I really want the two to work cohesively as a source of warmth and really like a hard fire for our community. When we chose St. Al's, there was this feeling of deep trust that our daughters would be fully cared for. And now that I'm here in my faith formation role, I'm working to really fully embody that trust for all of you. And the goal that I have now is to really ensure that each one of you, each one of your kids and our students here are seen and loved in their experience. So wherever you're at with your own spiritual journey, in your parenting and in your marriage, in your joys or your wounds, whether you're Catholic or not, my mission here is to provide a space that is nurturing all of you. A big part of that is growing and building a family culture. My husband and I try to be pretty intentional as we work on our own family culture and address our family's needs. And we don't shy away from harder topics or tough experiences. So, and this might sound a little corny, but a part of how we built it is holding and watching movies together. Seeing our own feelings and our own life experiences reflected back to us, and even being challenged by stories that we're unfamiliar with. And all of these things have really opened up opportunities for really good conversations with our own kids and with each other in our partnership. So that brings me to some of our first events that I'm hosting for our school. So the first big family event reflect that desire to deepen relationships. At our family dinner and movie night, we will be watching Encanto over 2 nights. And a key part of this event will be that each family group, right? This is not a drop off your kids and watch Encanto. I want both parents, mom and dad, singing along. I know you know it. But a key part of this will be each family unit will be given guided discussion questions to start opening up those conversations. And this movie in particular dives deep into family roles, family trauma, and how we can discuss that openly so that we can grow together. And we'll be sharing with our community, so as we see in other families, how they grow and how they address challenges. The last date you'll see here is Mercy Night. This is going to be at the end of Lent, and it's a beautiful candlelit meditative experience for people of all faith backgrounds. So if you're not Catholic, you are, of course, welcome to attend. For those that are Catholic, this is an opportunity for benediction and adoration and confession, amongst other things. Mercy Night, the first hour will be a family-focused hour, definitely kid-friendly. We want kids and families to feel comfortable walking into our community and into our church and coming up right close the altar and the pews, and not let shuffle into the back as soon as someone's making a noise. And there will be childcare available that night too. And speaking of togetherness, please reach out to me with any thoughts or ideas you might have. I will have volunteer opportunities, service hours, for anyone that wants to join any of my ministry teams. So if you love beauty, cooking, praying, reading, welcoming families, playing music, we need more and more musicians, please. I would love to hear from you so we can make these events happen in the best possible way. And I really love sitting down with people one-on-one and hearing your stories And for me, in my role in faith formation, I can't form or serve you if I don't know who you are and I don't know your story. So my coffee order is an 8-ounce double shot vanilla. I'd love to chat with you and hear more about where your heart is and what you need so I can serve you all better. Okay, thank you.
I think just hearing Claire, it's a breath of fresh air for St. Alphonsus to have someone who's young and hip. Yeah, we do. You do. It's great, but just families, and that was reflected in our survey. Sunday Mass and family Mass is awesome. I'm not Catholic. Okay, what can I do to get involved? Claire's being really intentional about that. We want to make sure that St. Alphonsus is accessible to all families of all faith backgrounds, and not just a night for you to come and then you have to figure out dinner and all that. Come here, have dinner, have childcare, and engage with the whole family. So that's what Claire's doing. Thank you. Couple safety updates from me. You received a couple text messages today. Wine, stop. Cheese, please come tonight. So apparently the parent alert didn't take ampersand, so I'm sorry. I wasn't able to say wine and cheese. Hey, that's why we do the test. But you will have this. To me, this is a no-brainer to keep you in the loop so that you know what's going on, especially if, and forbid, we do have an emergency situation that you need to be notified of. You're much more likely to check your phone. It's in everyone's pocket right now. So you'll have that rather than email if there's something to happen. The other thing, we just received about a $30,000 grant to replace some locks on our doors. Our classroom doors look like this, where it locks from the outside of the classroom rather than the inside of the classroom. So if someone's in the building that shouldn't be, can you imagine you're a teacher, you're trying to get your kids into the classroom and you're fumbling around with your keys. It's terrifying. Doesn't make sense. So we've got, it's not cheap, but each door, and Brad was a big part of this and helping get this. We're going to start this in earnest, but we've got the quote done and we know basically what we're going to get. But the lock, believe it or not, it's going to be on the inside of the classroom. The teacher can just flip that. It's just another added measure of security, peace of mind for teachers, students, and youth. Update that. And as we kind of close this presentation out, I'm going to talk about the strategic vision ahead, but I also want to acknowledge the present moment here. There's been some changes in the last 2 weeks at St. Alphonsus staff, and I know that has caused consternation, apprehension, confusion, hurt. I hear you on that. I feel you on that. It's something that we don't want to have to experience, having staff changes in the middle of the year. With change, it comes learning. It clarifies things. Growth needs to happen. So I just want to let you know that we are aware of that. We're walking with you in that. We hurt as well. Kind of when you hit rock bottom, there's an upward trajectory that comes from that. I've never been more optimistic about St. Al's. I'm saying that in all sincerity. I'm super excited for the future and what we have here. But like I said, the learnings that take place, it clarifies our vision and what to focus on and where we need to grow. If you ever want to have a conversation with me, my door is always open, would love to chat with you. But I just want to acknowledge that because I know that's been heavy on our hearts and minds. I'm grateful for Sarah for being able to just drop everything and give our first graders a really excellent transition for the remainder of the year. So we're going to finish strong. But thank you for your support through all of this. I know it's not been easy, and especially if you don't have a child in first grade, it's still unsettling to see changes happening in the school mid-year. So I want to acknowledge that too. Strategic vision ahead. You know, I realize that as an institution, we've been at this for 115 years. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens because of grit. That happens because of resolve and a commitment to mission. But it also happens because of adaptation, resilience, being able to look at change and say yes to it. So there's changes ahead coming for St. Alphonsus. For us to go from that picture on the top to the bottom and to have alums come back and want to feel presence and rooted here and build soccer goals with Mr. Brad that they won't even really get to use, but to do it because they love this place. We have to adapt to change to make that. You know, school commission, they kind of asked me like, well, Nick, what is your, why do you show up here? What is it that you're after? You know, I show up here every day because really I've been thinking about this verse and it's really stood out to me. I have come, Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I'm here because I get filled up every single day. Henry David Thoreau says, you know, he wants to suck the marrow out of life. And I feel like whenever I get to come into St. Al's, and especially now, like I'm trying to just milk it for all it's worth. And I want that to be your experience, that when you come here, you are getting the max and your students are getting the max. We want to have life and we want to have it to the full. You know, we're wasting our time if we can't commit to that at St. Alphonsus. The way that we do that, you know, there's schools everywhere, every block, okay, in all cities around our nation. But their definition of fullness might be different than our own. They may answer questions differently than who are we? Where do we come from? How do we flourish? What's our destiny? How am I growing in knowledge, love of God, and service today? Okay, that might be answered differently in different places. However, at St. Al's, we want to, during this kind of this inflection point for us, we can either go up or down. We want to say that we're going to grow deeper into our mission, putting roots down while at the same time expanding outwards, embracing, opening up our arms. In a model for us to do that, I'm going to introduce you to this. It's called Catholic liberal education. And I'm going to break apart these words. I'll try and do my best to hustle because I know we're getting late here, but I want to start with this word Catholic. When we hear the word Catholic, we probably think of the institution, right? The church, which is true and good. We have a Catholic church, a parish right next to us. Big C Catholicism. You know, a Catholic liberal education also is about the small c. The small c that we say in our creed at Mass, the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed. It's Catholic is universal. That's what the word means. It means wholeness. We want to expand our reach. You saw the number, we're 51% Catholic. How can we be uncompromising in our identity, Christocentric, okay, loving what our church has to offer, but also opening up our arms to a big portion of our community, okay? So that's in the front of our minds of how we educate with both the small c and the big C. They can be in tandem and in a really healthy, beautiful way. The next piece of this is the word liberal. And I don't want you to think of this in the political sense of left, right, liberal, conservative. Liberal as in liberating, okay, that Latin word libere, to liberate, or freedom. Freedom to do what? We want our kids as they leave here to be liberated to do whatever they would like. Okay, sure, high school is important. Sure, college is important. Many of them will choose to do that and they'll go to excellent schools. But we want them to have the freedom to become who they're meant to be. become who they're meant to be, and set the world on fire. They're able to do that if they can read well, write well, and speak well. Back to the basics. That opens up so many opportunities for them. Sometimes we get distracted by all the flashy things. I'll throw STEM and technology and even the musical, all those sorts of things. They're nice, flashy things. I'll throw them under the bus. But we really want to get back to here is reading well, writing well, speaking well. How do we carry ourselves? And if we can train our students to do that, those virtues, that's going to liberate them to do a lot of things. So renewing our focus there and how we do it. The word education. Yes, your students come here and learn. But on the flip side of that, we also have teachers. We need a renewal, not just in the learning that is going on, but also how the teaching is going on. There needs to be a renewal in that. We have fabulous, fabulous, dedicated teachers. Okay, they show up every day and they give 110%. They really do. The renewal piece comes in, for the how are we delivering this content? Yes, as you heard, there's so many things, phonics and phonograms and phonemes, I don't even know what the difference is anymore, and core knowledge and math and science, but how is that message being communicated? It's more important than the what. Okay, we've got a fabulous curriculum, but how is it being delivered? You'll see there's a ton of emphasis on critical thinking skills, right? We want to equip our kids with those skills so that they can participate fully in the 21st century workplace. So I'll talk a little bit more about the differences between what this education is and maybe a more typical one. A typical education is ordered towards material ends. Again, those good high schools, those good colleges, those good jobs. What we're about is those things plus, are we ordering you towards eternal happiness? Typical education, very fragmented, very siloed. You have math, you have science, you have religion. There's everything else. This is, again, seeing everything in harmony, integrated. Pete had the picture up there of how knowledge builds on knowledge from grade level to grade level. We're going to be doing more of that. Typical education focused on practical skills. Here, we're going to be focusing on habits of thinking, discussion. Whereas, yes, you'll get information, of course, but how do we do that in the context of story so that it actually matters, so that it's memorable and sticks? Typical education might be a mile wide and inch deep. Our kids are going to be getting a lot, but we're going to be focusing on activating that wonder, that joy, that spark that comes with learning. Fewer worksheets, fewer, less passive learning, more discussion, more wrestling with text, more wrestling with peers in an intellectual sort of way. Kind of the difference here. So why are we doing this? I'm going to give you 3 quick reasons. Number 1, internal reason. It confirms and extends what we are already doing in the classroom. You've heard about all of the academic efforts that are going on. Okay, this is just us going deeper and calling it something specific: Catholic liberal education. It extends what we're already doing. Number 2, there are many changes happening in the Archdiocese of Seattle. You may have, if you've been to Mass, you may have heard about Partners in the Gospel, which is this initiative where our parish, other parishes, we're probably going to be joined into a parish family. The schools are going to be fine. It might look a little bit differently in a few years. We don't know. We're operating as usual, but our parishes we're probably going to be consolidated with someone else. That's just the reality. 2 to 3 to 4 parishes joined together. I don't want to be caught on our heels as a school and be like, we don't really know what we're doing. We're kind of doing what everybody else is, sort of. And then we get battered around because we don't have an identity. This is a way for us to say, we are St. Al's, we know what we are, and we're not going anywhere. So we have to adapt to that and be ready. Third reason Again, it aligns with our mission to educate the whole child. Yes, we're training minds, but we're also setting hearts on fire. Okay, we're showing souls what they should desire, what is good in this world, what's true in this world, what's beautiful in this world. That's a whole child mentality that this philosophy of education will help us achieve. So where is this happening? You might be thinking Catholic liberal education, liberal arts education. Seems like it happened centuries ago. Well, it did, and it's still going strong right now in a number of places across the country. And this is surging in many Catholic schools. And enrollment is increasing because people have taken an intentional approach to their education. This isn't just in places like Ballard, where everyone more or less kind of looks like me. Okay. This is in urban areas, affluent areas, but also rural areas, low income areas, what we might describe high achieving and otherwise. There's other schools around us in Seattle. There's people in East LA. There's people in the Bronx, people in Texas. Okay, there's schools all over the Midwest who are doing this, and it's taking Catholic schools by storm because they realize this is what's going to save schools because we have a mission. Yeah. I think it's important to also look at, who has had a liberal arts education. Pete mentioned earlier Frederick Douglass. Okay, Frederick Douglass was raised in a time, born into an era that was repressive, prejudiced, bigoted, right? Used the tools of his liberal arts education to transcend that because this is an education in freedom. You see Dr. King up there. You see other civil rights activists. You see Jane Addams. You see Toni Morrison. Using this education to accomplish what they have set out to do, freedom. You also see people deeply committed to story. You see J.K. Rowling. Yes, I'm a fan of Harry Potter, but even better than Harry Potter, J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. Okay, you see Vince Lombardi up there. Okay, how do we communicate with people? How do we communicate effectively with people, whether it's in the classroom or on the gridiron? Okay, people of all different political persuasions, different ranks in society. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. This is for all different walks of life and people, and we want our students to be able to have the same opportunity to access this. When is this going to happen? Well, we're starting in earnest. On March 10th, when you are not here, we are going to be here on an academic retreat. We're having someone come in and guide our faculty in a Socratic seminar. What does it look and feel like to engage again in a Socratic seminar about, again, the mission of what we're going to be doing, launching into? This is going to be a 3-year renewal process. This next year, we're scoring the why. Why are we doing this? Why am I an educator? Why have I chosen to work in a Catholic school? The following year, the art of pedagogy. So how do I actually teach in the classroom? What does this look like in science? How do I read chapter 14 in science and then turn around and have a Socratic seminar or a Harkness discussion about what I just read, coming with my notes prepared? In kindergarten, how do I latch onto a story and able to walk through what a day in the life of a Native American boy would have been in the Pacific Northwest? You'll see timelines in classrooms. You'll go up to Miss Hershey's classroom, you see a timeline of ancient Rome wrapping around the entire room. Okay. You'll see maps. You'll see active discussion. So how do we foster that? Really going to be the focus of year 2. Year 3 will be more about how does this look more in math and science, which is a little bit trickier. But there's a certain beauty and harmony that comes from numbers, from astronomy, from algebra, from music. Those things tied together too. How do our students access that? It's going to be quite a journey. There will probably be more change ahead. I wouldn't be honest if I not say that, we might have staff who say, this sounds like a great idea. I don't know if I want to do it. And that's okay. That's okay. They may discern that. And we've got other people we can find who plug in and say, this is my mission. you know, obviously, we're going to do our best to have people stick around. Because I'm fully confident in all of our teachers. They could do a fabulous job in this setting, but just want to prepare us. The way this St. Alphonsus community looks in terms of teaching faculty could change. Could change. Don't know. So the road ahead, okay, path forward. Just do a quick recap. Spread the word. Get out in your communities. There are yard signs here for you to take home and put in your yard. You know what? One of the saddest things that someone told me when I first started here was, I don't feel like I could put a yard sign in my yard because I don't trust in St. Al's given the state of things as I was coming in. I don't think we're at that point anymore. I think you should stick that yard sign in and say, yes, this is us. This is our family. I mean it, and I'm going to fly this flag high. Participate, participate, participate. We want you to feel welcome here. We want your neighbors to feel welcome here. Send them our way. And again, we're going for a renewal. We're at an inflection point, as I said. Okay, St. Al's, we can choose to either go up or down. I am super optimistic. I want us to go up. That's going to take renewal in both how we learn, but also how we teach as a staff. I see a hand over there, Tara.
I was gonna say, if anybody feels disconnected, as a preschool parent, I felt disconnected when I started here. I put this sign in my yard and I met 3 to 4 other families that went to St. Al's within a month of having the sign in my yard because people said, oh, I live around the corner. I live 5 blocks this way. My kids go to St. Al's too. So it's also a way of figuring out who lives near you that also goes to St. Al's. Those are the same 3 to 4 families that we have sleepovers with every weekend, that we make sure that we coordinate bingo night with. So the sign is also a great way to get reunited with the community, whether you've been disconnected because of COVID or not connected because you're new to the school. This is a way to see who else in your neighborhood might also need a friend in the community.
I live right next to St. John. My St. Alphonsus yard sign is right there and people see it on their walk. My house hasn't been egged yet. So I have full confidence that yours won't either. We're at 8:30, way too long. But I will be around if you have questions.